Welcome back to Talk of the Town on 99.7, 1450 WHTC and WHTC.com.
And we welcome you back to Talk of the Town for this Thursday, May the 20th. I'm Gary Stevens. Third Thursday of the month, we spend this time talking about Holland City Hall and city activities with one of the members of the Holland City Council. And today, we are very pleased to have on the other end of our Zoom connection, Holland Mayor Nathan Bocks to discuss a few things going on at City Hall. Nathan joins us via his offices from his day job, and we chatted with him from there this past Friday. He's back with us again. Nathan, good morning, and welcome back to WHTC.
Good morning, Gary. Great to be here.
Glad you are with us, and if you have a question for Nathan Bocks, Mayor Nathan Bocks, he'll be happy to answer it at 616-395-1450, 616-395-1450. Before we talk about some city things going on, you had a chance to work along with him once every 2 months during your time as in the Ask the Attorney segment with Ed Verskure when he was hosting Talk of the Town. Memorial service coming up on Saturday for Eddie, beloved figure. Some, had his thoughts, and others had, like any of us, we're not perfect. But your thoughts about dealing with Ed and the passing of a radio icon?
Yeah, I was so sad to hear about the passing of Ed. I knew that Ed had not been feeling well for quite a while. It was always a joy, always a pleasure to come in and sit with Ed and chat, not only while we were on the air, but in between times. Ed was always this ray of light. What a great, wonderful attitude he had about life and about, playing the music. And I remember when we were putting the Civic Center project together, he donated materials that he had collected over the years from groups that had played at the Civic Center. He had all kinds of memorabilia and great stories to tell about what had happened in the Holland area. And it was a real loss to the community to lose Ed.
A photo that we had with Ed, poster for the Hollies concert back in 1970s. He was a part of, and he posed with Jay Peters on the last day of the old Civic Center, and a lot of memories. And then, of course, Ed had that video with the tour of the new Civic Center shortly before it reopened in 2019. Let's get to the phones. 395-1450. Good morning. You're on the line with Holland Mayor Nathan Bocks.
Good morning. I have a question about, are they going to have the sidewalk performers downtown on Thursday night?
The answer to that is yes. There is a process that is being put together for applications for sidewalk performers. I believe it's going to be a little different than it's been in previous years. But with things opening up, I know this information actually by listening to WHTC myself, hearing Linda Hart talking about the possibility of the sidewalk performers. I apologize. I don't know the exact date that's going to be starting, but I'm really excited to see things starting to open up in downtown.
Let me fill you out as well on the caller on this as well. An exact date is yet to be determined because downtown Holland has to work with the State Department of Health and Human Services to be able to allow this, but they are accepting applications through next Friday for performers to submit applications to be a part of the process. It might not be the Thursday after Labor Day, after Memorial Day, but it will be short sometime in June.
Now, you're already having some down there already.
Yeah, that's a separate thing, and I'll step into this one, Nathan, on this because we've done a story on this. Individuals can sign up, can file with the city to perform, but the actual series itself, the Thursday night summer series, will start sometime in June.
Okay, and what about the music festivals on Friday nights? Are they going to have that at Collins Park?
Yeah, there are still some things that are up in the air. This, hopefully there'll be some news from the governor coming up in another hour or so about things opening up even more. But what we've been doing at the city through the PSD, the Principal Shopping District, the Downtown Development Authority, the Holland Visitors Bureau, and even the Civic Center and Windmill Island is as those changes occur, trying to figure out what things we can do and what things we can't do under the restrictions that are in place at the time. And the big difference, and Gary was mentioning that you can do individual performers downtown right now, but we're not doing that big series. And the reason for that difference is the number of people that the event may draw. And we really need to be careful about drawing big crowds still. And so those concerts may be happening at some point in the future, but right now I think that what we're looking at is that's likely to draw too large of a crowd at this point in the pandemic. But hopefully, as we get later into the summer, more of those things will start opening up. One of the great things about our event planners in this community, whether they're with the city or with the Visitors Bureau or other organizations that are putting concerts together, is that they're really nimble. They have, for the last year and a half, had to try to adapt and change to almost constantly changing rules. And they've been fantastic about finding ways to be able to do what we can within the rules that are in place at the time. And then as rules change, shift those as well. So stay tuned on some of those with more details coming as the summer moves forward. I heard the announcement, and I'm going to be participating in the Memorial Day ceremony. No parade for Memorial Day. But Mike Trethui mentioned last night at the city council meeting that as of this moment, the Labor Day truck parade is still on, obviously taking into consideration anything that may change between now and then. But that, in my mind, is one of those great pieces of good news for the bright future that we have ahead of us, that more and more things are possible as we get farther along.
Okay. Appreciate
Alrighty, thank you.
Thank you very
You're
much
very
for
welcome.
the call. 616-395-1450, 616-395-1450. Before we talk a little bit about a couple of other topics, I do want to sort of finish up the thoughts about some of the summer events that are upcoming. Is it still up in the air about the 4th of July?
It is still up in the air about the 4th of July. I don't know for sure whether there are going to be fireworks yet this year on the 4th of July. I know that there are conversations that are happening in the background, basically around A, logistics, and B, can we have a crowd? Because again, that's something that's going to be likely to draw a larger crowd. And we don't know what the rules are going to be even a month from now. Frankly, we don't know what the rules may be an hour from now or a day from now. And so even if it's a possibility in terms of drawing the crowd, there are logistical questions. Can we get the fireworks purchased? Can we have the people in place to be able to safely launch those fireworks off? Can we get a barge that's necessary in order to be able to do it? So while it's one thing to be able to say, hey, it's opened up and we can start doing these things again, there's still some advanced planning that needs to be done and some logistical things. Are the people and the materials available to do that? So again, that's one of those stay tuned kind of items.
And the other part is, and we've been notified through the city's International Relations Commission, the International Festival is being planned for August.
Mm-hmm. Yep, still being planned. I have it on my calendar, both for the primary date, and there's a secondary date that they have on the calendar as well. Hopefully August is far enough out, and that's one of those events too where they can make changes and adapt based on what the rules are, and so either scale up or scale down depending on the number of people that we're allowed to have together.
616-395-1450, 616-395-1450. If you have a question for Holland Mayor Nathan Bocks, he'll be happy to answer it again at 616-395-1450. Let's stay with downtown and something the city council has been addressing, and it looks like it's going to eventually happen, similar to what we have seen being put forward in neighboring cities such as Saugatuck and Zeeland, the development of social districts, what that is all about and what that could mean for downtown Holland especially.
Yeah, I'm very excited about this. This is one of those things that is going to be very helpful, not only for our downtown businesses, but I think also for the emotions and the mental state of a lot of the people in the community. We found during Tulip Time Week that there were so many people that were out and about just looking to have some sort of interaction with other people, get out and do things. Comment again last night from the city council meeting from Chris Hart at the Civic Center. Chris happens to be married to Linda Hart of the Visitors Bureau, and he was pulled into the Visitors Bureau during Tulip Time. And one of his jobs was just to kind of talk to people and tell them where to go. And he would say to people, what would you like to see? Where would you like to go? And people said, I don't care what I see. I just want to see something. I don't care where I go. I just want to do something. And so there's an attitude out there, as well as a whole lot of pent up demand and pent up resources for people. In talking to downtown businesses, they had an absolutely fantastic Tulip Time week. We're seeing hotel booking numbers that are getting close to what 2019 was. And in talking to some of the local merchants, I'm even hearing that their sales numbers for 2021 may top what they did in 2019. The numbers at Tulip Time were fantastic. And what we're looking at doing are finding additional ways to be able to make it possible, A, for people to do things in the downtown area, and B, help our local businesses. And the social districts are one of those things. What the city council has approved is the ability of people who are 21 years or older to purchase an alcoholic beverage at an approved bar or restaurant and to consume it outdoors on the sidewalk. And what this is going to do is alleviate some of the pressure that our restaurants and our bars are feeling with long wait times. We heard from some of the owners of the businesses, the restaurants and the bars, saying they had wait times during Tulip Time of 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. And the idea is to try to find ways to be able to keep people downtown, to be able to keep them engaged while they're waiting for their reservation to come up. Now, those alcoholic beverages cannot be consumed wherever you want to. They can only be consumed in the specific commons area, which are on the sidewalks and the crosswalks around the downtown area. You cannot go into another restaurant. You cannot go into another bar with it, or even a store with it. And you've got to have the photo ID. It's got to be in an approved container, and that container has to have the logo of the Downtown Holland Social District on it, as well as identification of the particular bar or restaurant that it came from. And what it's going to do is provide people the opportunity to be able to engage socially with one another outdoors while they're waiting for a reservation at a restaurant, or frankly, just in the downtown area. So we're expanding that space that people have to be able to interact with one another.
Nathan, one other question, and please, it's more for my curiosity than anything else. Correct me if I'm wrong. Last year, as part of how the city helped the downtown businesses, especially, get around seating because of limited indoor seating, they allowed retailers, especially eateries, to be able to expand onto sidewalks and onto the parking areas as well last year. Is that still going to happen this year, or was it just a one-off because of that?
No, the city council did extend that, and I believe that was extended through December 31 of this year. So we had businesses that tried to do that as much as they could throughout the entire wintertime with the heated sidewalks and adding additional heaters and some windbreaks. There were some of the places that were able to do that almost year round. And so they asked for that to continue. And so that is going to continue into this summer as well. One thing I want to make sure people understand with the social district is you can't go anywhere that you want to in the downtown area with that alcoholic beverage. You have to stay on the sidewalk or on the crosswalks. The public parking areas are not part of that. The public or the private parks that are in the downtown area are not part of that social district. So really what we're saying to people is that the safest and smartest thing to do to stay within the rules is make sure you're staying on the sidewalk or in the crosswalk with those alcoholic beverages. But we did and still do continue to have restaurants and bars that have additional seating space outdoors. I see that continuing on through the summer into the fall, and who knows, that may continue even for a longer period of time, depending on what the needs are and what the wants are with that.
I do want to bring this subject up with you, Holland Mayor Nathan Bocks, before we step aside with this segment. The latest developments involving Waterfront Holland. Bids are being accepted now from developers and contractors for that site. Tell us this latest step in trying to redevelop, for the most part, the James DeYoung power plant site.
Yeah, the city just released two things. One is a request for qualifications, and the other is a request for proposals. We want as many different options available to us in regard to Waterfront Holland as we can. We think that putting a variety of options out there in front of the city council and in front of the public is one of the best ways to be able to create competition, great ideas, and kind of put pressure on the developers between one another to come up with what may work best for the community. And when I say in front of the city council and the public. That's a really important piece of this, because much of the property along the waterfront is owned by the city. City owns multiple parcels there that may be involved in this. And there is a city ordinance that requires, if the city is going to acquire, is going to purchase, or is going to sell or otherwise transfer a piece of property on the waterfront, that requires a public vote. That is written within the laws of the city of Holland. And that public vote needs to pass by 60%. So while city council is going to be reviewing the different proposals that are out there and may choose what the city council believes is the best proposal that may come forward, the public is still going to have a voice and a vote in that process. And so we're looking forward to seeing what those creative developers are able to come up with and put those proposals in front of city council. And that's going to be happening probably in the next 6 months or so.
Now, one thing is vision. Obviously, people will want to try to say, okay, tear down the plant, start from scratch. Others say, hey, let's incorporate the plant. It's part of Holland history. We can work around the situation. Some are saying maybe a private entity, and others might say public access. Everything is on the table on that?
Everything is on the table. One of the things that we learned in the Waterfront Holland visioning process, as you said, is waterfront access. The people of Holland want to be able to have access to their waterfront. Now, there's a whole lot of waterfront that runs from Collin Park all the way to Windmill Island. We want to try to provide as much access to that waterfront as we possibly can, but we want to make sure that whatever gets developed as part of Waterfront Holland is economically viable as well. And the city is not a developer. There are projects that the city does, but we always rely on experts in the private sector to be able to help us determine what the best course is moving forward. Ultimately, council makes those decisions, but one of the reasons for the request for qualifications and the request for proposals is so that those private developers, those people who do this for a living every single day, have the ability to be able to look at the sites that are available, the options are available, with the overlay of that Waterfront Holland visioning process. And we've said to them, here's what the city of Holland, the people of the city of Holland, have told us that they're interested in seeing in concept out there. Come back to us with ideas that you have on how this can work, how it can be economically viable, and then let us take a look. And at this point, in my mind, all options are on the table.
Now, the application process, correct me if I'm wrong, Nathan, runs through the end of the month.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, council will start evaluating all of the process. And again, we're not going to have something on the table by September 1,
no.
But, eventually.
I'm excited to see the ideas that are coming back. I'm sure that there are developers that were out there already working on this, knowing that a request for proposal and a request for qualification were going to be coming down the line. So there may have been things that were already kind of half baked or almost baked, and they were just waiting for the final request for proposal to come out. So it'll be interesting to see as those come back. I think there's going to be a whole lot of interest in this, especially now that we're coming out again out of COVID into this time, I think, of real optimism. There's been a lot of development that's happened in the city of Holland, even during the COVID process. And we have over 1,300 new residential housing units under construction right now during the pandemic. We had more than $500,000 square feet of new commercial construction going on in the city during the pandemic. Planning Commission is very, very busy reviewing and approving new projects. Our third floor, our development and our planning people have been incredibly busy.
And guess what? I'm incredibly busy too. We got to get CBS News. I'll talk to you next week. Great.
Thank you very much, Gary.
Thank you very much, Holland Mayor Nathan Bocks.